We're now going to have Officer Quarter come and speak to us for a little ditty. It'll be just a few, so.
A ditty?
A little ditty.
Yes, I was invited for a ditty.
About Jack and Diane.
I want you to know, Eric told me beforehand, and he confirmed to me that no shorts were actually hurt or harmed in the making of this film.
They were harmed.
That's right.
It just all depends on how you articulate
They
it.
have been.
I was invited because the keynote speaker last year wasn't able to attend, I guess Floyd Arrington. I'll try to do my best to represent him today by telling very corny jokes, if I can, intermittently throughout the program. Not that he ever tells corny jokes.
We only have 45 minutes.
As many of you know, before coming here, I was a municipal police officer. As a recruit, I was called out to a call at an apartment complex, and it was there at the pool building. Some of those officers arrived probably right around 1 or 2 in the morning, surrounded the building. I went to one side, some officers to the other. Fortunately, he didn't come through my door because I was ready to take him down. It was a burglar inside the building. They heard some rustling inside. Turns out the fellow was trying to jack the entire computer. It was a desktop computer with the computer and the screen on top. Came running out the back toward the pool. The guys pretty much swarmed him, took him to the ground, put him in my car to take to jail because I was a recruit, and started driving back. And without flinching, there's a guy in the back of the car said, "Shouldn't you be out writing traffic tickets or something?" Which typically it's, "Shouldn't you be out arresting people?" So you see how they got turned around. One of the biggest complaints we'll have in a municipal police department is actually traffic. Oftentimes we do several high-intensity calls and burglaries and whatnot. But generally, traffic is one of the biggest areas that we get complaints about in large cities and small cities as well. And that's what I'm going to be talking about to you guys today, a little bit addressing traffic here on campus. That's why I was invited here. I think there's mainly only 3 areas I really want to touch on. Probably the highest one being golf carts, the use of golf carts here on campus. You guys have done a good job with them. I want you guys to continue to be safe with them. You know, we have one. I think it's been doing several figure 8s out in the parking lots. I don't know by whom, but he has since transferred from our department to another. So he was testing the tires and the traction.
They work well.
I wasn't saying it was you. In terms of the law, you guys are good using the golf carts around the streets on our campus. 35 miles below is what we call for, what the law calls for here in the state of Texas. I just ask you to be mindful, especially during high traffic hours, especially on Live Oak, Haskell, Washington even, coming into work from between 7 and 8 around lunchtime and during rush hour. I'd suggest that you try to steer clear of those roads as much as possible. In terms of officer crossings, when we're out there directing traffic, just treat us like you would a regular traffic device. If we tell you to stop for a minute, please stop, and any other Dallas officers that might be out here as well. Continue to yield. You guys have done a really good job of yielding to vehicle traffic. Anytime I come down Swiss in my own car, or especially on the patrol vehicle, you guys are good about getting over. I just recommend you continue to do that. It's a good courtesy for the neighborhood, as well as pedestrian traffic. I think our biggest fear is usually kids coming out of the Swiss Tower area. So just be mindful of little ones that may be playing in the area that rush out into the street when you're on those golf carts. And lastly, I noticed this morning even, I don't know what your procedures are within your department, but take the time to make sure all your headlamps are working on your golf carts. I noticed one of them was out this morning on somebody coming out. Anytime you guys hit a public street, you're treated like any other motor vehicle. So if your lights are out, whatever tail lamps you're supposed to have, anything, you are treated like any other vehicle on the street. So if a Dallas officer actually sees you, he could technically pull you over. Not that he actually would. He's probably got quote-unquote better things to do. Another area I want to talk about briefly, streets that are blocked here on campus. Just be patient with us. Anytime you need cars moved, we might be out on something. Give us a minute to get back. Try to contact the owner and see if we can have it moved. And speaking about that, these are public streets. For example, the construction project going on, they can only have 2 sides blocked at one time. We can't command anybody to move if they're legally allowed to park somewhere. We can ask them to. We generally prefer maybe somebody else to go and ask if they're not illegally parked. To go ahead and move their vehicle, because under the color office, it makes us look like we're representing the state, and if they're legally entitled, we would prefer somebody else to ask for us. Signs, parking, no parking signs. I last year took the initiative, along with a few other guys who made some suggestions, to submit a request to Dallas and got some no parking signs out that have helped alleviate $100, $200 fines on students parking too close to the corner. If you guys see areas where you might say, hey, it might be effective to have a no parking sign here because large trucks are trying to pull in on a regular basis, like on the backside of mail services and areas like that, let us know. And I'll do what I can to see if we can't get some no parking signs on streets to help you guys out if you have vehicles that you need to get moved in and out of lots. Lastly, Dallas PD and FD come on several occasions here on campus. If you ever see them coming, go ahead and notify us so that way we know they're here if they respond to a call. And by default, if they don't know where they're going, go ahead and send them to the C1 parking lot right there next to the kiosk, and we'll meet them over there to help them out immediately. Outside of that, I don't have much more. Do you guys have any questions? I forgot to wear my shorts today, by the way. Sorry about that. Yeah. Okay. All right. Great. Yeah. Well, I guess that's it. Okay. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Brad. Well, now we're going to be talking about confined and enclosed spaces, which is actually Glenn's, but he gets to play with his kids today for Fair Day. So one day the school will be closed for Columbus Day, or as I like to call it, Canadian Thanksgiving. So one day, there we go. It's slowly but surely coming. The one form you have, it looks as though it needs to be updated a little, but it has all the confined and enclosed spaces on campus. So if you would review that, you could see what type of areas there are here, what type of things you need, whether it's a barricade or whether you need a permit. And that goes through, if you need a permit, first of all, of course, see your supervisor, and then secondarily see Glenn because he's the one who fills that stuff out. There's also a whole safety binder called Confined Space Entry Kit. And in there, there's a 30-minute video, shows you proper safety protocol. There's a workbook, there's some written stuff, some OSHA standards, and this is where this PowerPoint information comes from. So getting started, who is affected by confined space and enclosed spaces? Of course, all of us are. Everyone on campus. The things that you need to know is where to stay away from, obviously, and what you need to take precautions if you do have to enter these spaces, like we had to in the basement of Todd there. And this is basically our training that we offer. Tell you what the difference is between the two, where they are, how they're identified, and then what type of precautions you have to take in entering those spaces. Confined space. It's large enough that someone can enter. Like I said, there is weight limits, size limits. Daniel thought there was other limits, but anyway. That you can enter and perform the work that you need to do. It has a limited access for entry and exit. For example, Todd only has one entrance into that confined space, and there's no windows or anything, so no exit plan other than that one way in and out. And no employee is going to be spending a significant amount of time in there. It's just for a short period of time to get work done and get out. So our signs, like you saw in the video, we have warning confined space. There's also danger confined space, and that one will say enter by permit only. And so when you're looking for, if you see these signs around campus, the warning confined space doesn't need a permit, but you're going to want to tell your supervisor that you're going into there, and you're going to want to take the proper precautions like air testing, making sure the environment is safe, etc. And the danger confined space, though, does require a permit, which you'll have to see Glenn Monroe for. Like we said, you don't enter. Most of you will never have to enter these areas. Daniel and I had to enter the one that was a warning confined space to fix a sump pump that was not taking water out of Todd. So, all right. These are all the locations on campus as far as where confined spaces are. You also should have, that would be the exact same stuff that is in that handout that you have. An enclosed space. So they don't meet the exact same conditions as a confined space, but they still require safety precautions when entering them. Like I said, the buddy system is encouraged. They also have the signs caution enclosed space, which you saw on the door of the elevator room into in Todd basement. So here is, once again, the procedures that you have to go through. The erecting barricades is something that you would do around any work area that you're working in, whether you're putting up a ladder or working in an environment that you don't want people walking through. In this case, you're going to want to make sure that people can't follow you into that enclosed space or crawl into it themselves. And make sure that people know how long you're going to be spending in that space. Here is what you want to do, the entry team. It sounds so tactical, which I like. So you're going to want to, of course, always wear your proper PPE. Trevor, what's that stand for?
Personal protection equipment.
Good job. Good job. You're paying attention. You get some safety shorts. You're going to want to identify who you're in contact with. Let people know that you're going in there like we talked about, what job you're doing, etc. If you do have an emergency, you're going to want people to know how to get a hold of you and come and find you. And of course, when you're done, remove all your barricades and secure the area. Make sure that batten down the hatches. So the assistant, this is the buddy system I was talking about. Make sure that they, of course, know what job you're performing and how to assist you if they can. One thing that I'm thinking of in particular is lighting. Some of these areas, the lighting, it's either hard to get to or limited. And so if you're the flashlight guy or girl, that is, you're going to want to probably stay on that for the entire time. Okay, here we go. If you cannot perform these duties, you probably want to find someone who can. All right, so a minimum number of employees who are going into these environments. You want to, of course, have your assistant and you, but not so many that it becomes crowded. And yeah, make sure that you let people know via radio when you're going in or out of these spaces. Any member of FPO can be a part of an enclosed space team. And that's what we want to make sure is that everyone here knows that these things are on campus and what the proper procedures are for making sure that people get into them safely and leave safely. These are the enclosed space locations on campus. Once again, they'll be in your list there, but these are the different enclosed spaces. All right, check, call, and care. You want to make sure you are taking all the precautions before going into the spaces. Make sure that you call someone if you need help, of course. You do have your radios and they do work in these spaces, so make sure you use them. And make sure your assistant or your buddy knows the proper procedures on getting help. You can also call, I know in the basement, at least the iPhones, Brian will give me a hard time about this, have a problem picking up reception. I don't know. And then those are from DTS phones, which are all around campus, and then from your cell phone, of course, 911. Okay. Care. People who are trained in rescuing people from confined spaces. You can see that bold point there. There are no DTS personnel who are trained in confined space rescue. It's the responsibility of off-campus emergency agencies such as the fire department, and they're all way trained in these type of things, trained. It's not safe to get caught in a tight space. That's what we're talking about there. So that is the end of the enclosed space, and quickly we have a little video on hand safety, and then we should be done. This is an older one, so bear with it. Is there any questions? Of course, with any hand injury, whether it's minor or you're at the hospital, make sure you report them to your supervisor so that we can have those documented. Daniel, no cheating. Like I said, we do have some safety shorts available if you want to try them on. Okay, they're reflective, safety. Orange is the safety color. All right, we ready to go? Let's do the confined space entry review questions first. Number 1. A confined space has the following characteristics. What's the answer there?
All of the above.
All of the above. D. Perfect. Number 2, an enclosed space has met the following characteristics. Kevin, you're the best student here. And 3, FPO supervisors are the only ones that need to know the locations of the confined space and enclosed spaces and what to do when the work is required inside one of these spaces. True or false? False. That's correct. If you got that, you got 3 out of 3. There you go. Well, 1 out of 3, yeah. Hopefully 3 out of 3. Next, we're on our hand safety quiz here. Protecting hands from machines quiz. First question, each year employees suffer which of the following hand injuries when working around machines? All of the above. The most severe hand injuries occur when workers operate machines that are not guarded or poorly guarded. True or false? OSHA requires employers to place guards on or safety devices between workers and hazardous machine parts and operations. True as well. One of the most dangerous areas of any machine is point of operation. Which of the following machine movements can be dangerous? Only above. If you notice that the guard on your machine has been disabled, you should C. Report it to your supervisor right away. It's okay to wear your wedding ring while working on a machine. True or false? False. Gloves are important for protecting your hands from machinery. True or false? False. Make sure you take those off because they get stuck and then it drags you into it. This is serious stuff. Ask Brian about an escalator one day. Push sticks are useful in keeping your hands safe when inserting materials into a machine. True or false? True. If you need to clear a jam, you should A. Lock out and de-energize the machine before attempting to clear the jam. And that, mon frères and sisters, is your safety for today. Please submit, if you haven't written your name on the sign-in sheet, please do that. Make sure Aletha gets that, and as well as all your quizzes. Thank you for attending Safety Shorts today. Stay safe out there. I want to thank our AV people upstairs or next door as well.